What is the price for a flood barrier? Please send me a price list. I need it until tomorrow.
Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast to the protection against heavy rain and flooding by Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe.
So the big challenge is, how can house owners like you and me get a flood-free home? How can business managers like you and me get a flood-free company? And how can public servants provide flood-free critical infrastructure and livable cities?
Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast by Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe. This podcast is for foresighted and proactive people who do not want to shovel the muddy water out of their room while standing in the midst of the disaster.
Therefore, those who design and plan, the architects and engineers, need to construct such buildings and cities, and that even when the entire environment is completely flooded. That is the challenge, and this podcast will give the answers.
Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast by Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe.
What is the price for a flood barrier? Please send me a price list. Something like that we receive several times a week. And people are requesting flood protection for their premises, for their private house, for the fabrication building, warehouse, or even for public utilities like pumping stations or generator units at the railway stations, for instance, and so on. And the email doesn't tell exactly what it is. But what is very funny, and I really must say very funny, for me is that the people ask for price lists and they want to have the things done within 1 day or 2 days. I really have to tell you all, my dear customers and friends and architects and engineers, flood protection is not like going to the supermarket or to the hardware store and purchasing a kilo of bananas or a plastic table for the garden or drilling machine. It is more, I would say, an artwork. Now, the architects will certainly understand what I want to express, what I want to say. It is a kind of construction work that has to be done, because every flood protection needs a special construction. Every installation needs a special construction. What is it? We sometimes have an inquiry and the people tell us, we have 5 branches of a bank or an insurance building or whatever it is, or supermarket, and they're all the same. They all look the same. Please give me the price for one. And then I always ask, okay, what is the protection height? Oh, that is different. In the south, we have more rain, and here in the north, we have less rain, and this and that. And then I always interrupt and I answer with, look, if the protection height is different, it is no more longer the same. And even without the protection height, with a different protection height, it most probably, and I'm quite sure about that, it will not be the same. I've never seen similar projects in my whole life, in more than 30 years of project work in industry, and for small and middle-sized enterprises or whatever it is. It was never the same. Every installation requires an individual view. And with view, I mean everything starts with an inspection. And before you invest in an inspection, and sometimes people say, please come to my site. And before we always did that, and then it came out that the customer very often has no money, or they don't know what to do, or the owner is not around. And that is something what we don't do anymore, because it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't help you. So what we highly suggest is before you start spending money and investing in your flood protection, think twice, because thinking is for free. You only use your brain, and the brain is given by nature. So you only have to use it. So what we always say is do a budget estimation first. A budget estimation can be roughly done. We even offer a link for software for that, so you have a quick overview about possible costs, and then you can still decide, is that the range of budget I was thinking about, and is this budget possible for me? Can I afford it? If yes, and you think, yeah, in a way I can make it, then we should do the next step, and then we should talk, of course. Then comes an interview. We will interview you about your situation, about your needs, etc. Quite often we realize that the people don't know about it, especially when it comes to outsourced contractors or engineering companies. They don't have the knowledge, and there is one boss who is telling his team members, please give me the price for flood protection for this and that building, and then very often somebody is using Google, asking different companies, and we always get this type of quotations, and that is what I mentioned before. Please give me your best price, send me your price list, send it until tomorrow, we need it soon. The one of the most, how can I say it, surprising things, let me say it this way, surprising things I received, that was today I received an inquiry about, I think, 40, was it 40, 44, 40, let's say it 40, 40 doors, four-sided steel doors for a country in Asia. So I don't name the country. I don't want to blame anybody, and I want to have the prices within 3 days. And there are special requirements. And normally when I receive things like that, I always scan the text. I don't read the details because it's completely useless at this stage. So at least the dimensions were written. That looks good so far. However, at the very end, there was one note: delivery time on site should be done 4 weeks after contract. At this moment, I know that the person who has written this text has no idea what they are doing. And please allow me to be so strict, because it's completely nonsense. And don't be shocked when I use these words, but it is really nonsense, because nobody would ask an architect, please tell me the price and build me a house, and then I give you the order, and after 4 weeks I expect that the house is ready and I can move in with my family. Do you know what I want to express, what I want to say? And if the inquiry is already at this level, then I absolutely know that definitely there will not be any order, because there are so many questions rising up in the meantime that nobody will ever sign any contract. And the customer will run out of time and will be under higher risk of being flooded in the near future again and again and again. So that is why we always suggest that ask first before you start filling out papers and asking the whole world. And I know that from other suppliers as well. When we meet at trade shows, etc., and at symposiums, then of course we exchange the ideas a little bit, and they all say the same. We get inquiries from all over the world, and most probably they ask everybody they can find in the internet. And do the suppliers want to answer to all these requests? No. That means most of them will not get any answer anymore. And so do we. We don't answer most of the inquiries anymore. At least they get a reply, but we don't start working on it, because it shows to us that the customer hasn't done his homework. And the moment somebody hasn't done the homework, it shows that the person is not committed. And when somebody is not committed, they are not ready to sign a contract. When somebody is not ready to sign a contract, we are not willing to spend our time and give our knowledge for free. Yeah, it is really hard as it is. But you must understand that we have to serve all the other customers who already have signed contracts and who are working with us at the same time. So we cannot tell all of them, oh, please understand that we cannot work with you because we have some increase and the people need to be educated first. So nobody would understand it, especially not those customers who have already paid. So the way always is get a budget estimation first and then decide whether you have the money, and then start with the project planning and call us to set up a meeting. But please include your boss. Very often we talk to engineers. I'm also an engineer. Of course, I like to talk to engineers. That is normally very easy to talk to them, but it is always talking about technology. But what is more important is talking about the commercial terms, the financial terms. And then the answer of these engineers is, oh, sorry, that is not my responsibility. You must ask my boss, or that is the next boss and the boss of the boss and the boss. And at this moment, it shows to me that the customer is not ready. They cannot sign any contract because what they want is 1% guarantee, several years warranty, retention of money for more than 1 year sometimes. They want to have all these financial papers they can get, and a very short delivery time, and everything fully installed. At this moment, I tell you frankly, no serious supplier of flood protection equipment can give you such a quotation and guarantee you the things if there is not a fundamental discussion before. That is so important. And when people ask for a price list or for square meter prices, they forget one essential thing. Who shall install all these things? And installation costs depend highly on the location you live or you work. And it depends on the situation. To be honest, when I asked the engineer, did you consider your operation in your thoughts, in your draft, in your proposal? Did you talk to the operation manager and did you discuss the different options and scenarios? The answer is always no, because they don't know. So I can only encourage you to do it better, and that leads to a kind of engineering assessment that at the end of the day produces 3 scenarios or several scenarios. And then amongst these scenarios, you choose one. And with this one, you can do a detailed engineering. And based on the detailed engineering, the procurement can do the procurement. They can purchase flood barriers. They can purchase the service to install these barriers. And all this engineering work, plus the site inspections, I call it site inspection at this moment, depends on the level what you are doing. So there are site inspections, there are technical inspections, there are engineering assessments. So some customers call it inspection, but it's much more. All these services, plus the final supervision of installation, or the installation itself, that is costly. Costly in so far that it requires an investment, it requires funds. And if you only go for prices for the hardware, you forget these service prices. That means your budget is never enough. And at the end, you will put the supplier under pressure. And as I've said before, nobody will sign any contract because a serious supplier will not sign such a contract. It's simply unserious. So don't belong to these unserious guys. Belong to the serious people, to the smart people. Get your budget first. Include all the services and try to make sure that you will have this money. And if you need arguments Don't expect that a supplier is giving you all this work, all these documents, all these drafts, all these terms of references for free. That is simply impossible. He recently got an inquiry to visit several branches of of a company, let's say it this way, in Asia, and and first the calculation, the budget estimation was only made with a price for one branch. Okay, the branches are more or less similar. They are similar. Whether they are the same, as I've said before, no, I don't believe so. And that is a budget they have. I think it's more than 20, no, it was not 20, it was 14 branches. And there was no fee for services included, but the customer said, okay, you must inspect the branches first, and they are all over the country. You must take an airplane, by the way, or a ferry or a boat. Then you should fully install everything, and every delivery is not to a centralized warehouse, is delivered to the branch. And there is no money for that. Do you think that the supplier will do all these services for free, will purchase the airplane tickets 14 times for 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 people for free, spend several weeks at the sites for free? That shows to me that the person who have done this inquiry does not know anything about flood protection and does not know anything about project work. So as I've said before, I'm doing project work for chemical industry, for automotive industry, for seawater platforms, refineries, so all kind of manufacturing sites, more than 30 years. And everything starts with a clear budget. And of course, the budget includes all engineering work. And suddenly, in huge parts of Asia, we observe that all this service work is not included because nobody thinks about it. So please don't make this mistake, because it will pulverize your budget, it will pulverize your project, and at the end, you have a failed bid. When it comes to a bid, it will be a failed bid. We have seen that so many times. And the result is that for 1, 2, 3 years, the premises are not flood protected. And that is, of course, what you don't want. So my advice, my golden nugget for you is today, always include all possible costs, all possible services in your budget, and start with a budget estimation and start with a consultation and spend money for this consultation, because if you don't do so, you can be sure that your budget is not enough and that you will have a surprise at the end of the day in case a supplier is signing a contract with you, because they will claim everything later on and your price might double, or you will never finish the protection, and the result is you are not flood protected, and the damages are much higher. Normally, when you have flood damages, the damages are millions. I even don't mention the currency, because in any currency we talk about damage of millions. That's it. And to avoid, start with a good planning. Include all the engineering services, and when I call services, is it not? I don't name it an after sales service or something similar like that. No, I call it all the engineering work, all the architectural work, all the work to come up with a design. Because what we get from the people is not a design. Sometimes we get an inquiry, please protect this fire exit door or this door. And then I look to the plan, it's a fire exit door, and the opening size is 1 meter. And of course, it cannot be 1 meter, because you are not allowed to block a fire exit door. So that shows to me there is no design. And whether you can do it with an L shape or U shape in front of the door, it is sometimes not clear. So without knowing the circumstances, it is almost impossible to come up with a design, and without design, no price. So why do you ask for a square meter price? What is completely nonsense when it comes to flood protection? Sorry to say so, but it is. And don't mix up prices for portable barriers with doors and gates and automatic systems. That is absolutely not the same. That is like you compare price for a bicycle with a car and a Formula One racing car. Start with the engineering work, start with an engineering assessment, and start with the project planning at the very beginning. That's it for today. I hope it will help you with your budget, with your project, that your superior, we call it the stakeholder. So it is first your superior, your boss, and then the boss of the boss, and the boss of the boss of the boss, and then at the end the owner and perhaps a shareholder. So if there are several owners, that they don't complain why the premises are flooded, why our engineer, you, didn't do the job, why are the barriers are still not installed, because the project was delayed. And it was not the fault of the supplier, it was the fault of the design team, and that is you at the end of the day. So don't allow that your superiors will complain about you, because you most probably will lose your job. You don't get a salary increase and you don't make any career in this company, that's for sure. And don't do that, because do it the other way around. Propose the possible solution to your superiors, and everything starts with an engineering assessment and the project planning. That's my golden nugget for you. And then you are safe in your position where you are with your job, and your company will be safe, or your private house, if you are the house owner, will be safe from heavy rain and floods. Stay safe and flood free.
I wish and hope for you that you make the right decisions when it comes to your personal flood protection. And if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to this podcast channel if you haven't already. Now it only remains for me to wish you a good day, do something with it. Maybe until the next podcast episode, I would be very happy. See you then. As always, stay safe and flood free. Your Andreas Klippe and the whole Flood Experts team.
That's it again with the new episode of Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast by Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe, German engineer, book author, and head of the Flood Experts. What can Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe protect for you? Anytime? Worldwide? Contact us or just click through to www.floodexperts.de/bonus. Detailed engineering, German quality, safe. Flood protection secrets. The secrets you'll want to unfold.
Don't forget, you're only one flood barrier away.
Subscribe to the season, and you'll never be late for an episode.